No problem. We definitely appreciate you.
And I'm sure that D could come up with some ideas. He's just trying to be modest, so he'll probably come up with some idea or another. He'll probably call me later on and be like, I still thought of this idea. And knowing the time, he probably already jotted down ideas.
And look, you don't have to know how to code to have an idea. I started a company. I still to this day have no idea how to code. But what I do know is how to surround myself with people who do know how to do that stuff. So I started a business, and it's an online tech company. And I started that company for fraternities and sororities because there was a problem, and I solved for it. And I just hired somebody to code it. I just told them what my idea was, and I paid them to code it, and I sold it to them. So you don't have to know how to code. You just have to have an idea.
And what's the name of your company again that deals with the fraternities? Because actually Dean is a member of one of those frats. You know, I did not join the frat.
Which frat are you a member of? Which frat?
The greatest fraternity under all the heavens and all the earth.
Oh, my
the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
I love it. You know, you have to ask. You can never guess. You have to ask.
No, you can't guess.
That's actually the organization that I built that platform for, sir. So we're in good company. Yep.
Yes,
you
we
were the
are.
very
And we thank you.
You're welcome. Look, I should be thanking you. Y'all paid me pretty good for that platform. So thank you.
We appreciate you.
So, yeah, see, so there was even connections made that the folks are just now finding out that those connections existed. It's probably, when did you find that company? That was probably years ago. But, and you said that you don't know how to code. But if I'm thinking correctly, even though you don't know how to code, you are a single mother, and I'm thinking that you've probably already got your son learning how to code already.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
He's learning how to code, like really early lines of code. He doesn't know what he needs to yet, but he can't be in my house and not be, equipped. By the time he leaves college, he'll know how to code pretty efficiently.
So you
gotta get your kids. You got to get your kids in it. You just have to do it. Whether they want to or not, they're going to have to learn it. It is literally like a second language, but it's not an optional second language. It's going to be a required second language in the next 10 years.
Speaking of which, how do you think that we as the education system, meaning the school system, are doing in terms of trying to encourage our kids to learn the computer field? Because it seems to me that we talk about it all the time. We have outside groups like yours that have done this work, but it seems to me that there needs to be more work done in our school systems.
You want me to answer that?
I do.
Mark.
Huh?
Okay, let's think about my positions here. Okay, here's my thought on this, and I'm not going to be too political, but I don't think we should rely on our kids, on our schools, exclusively to get our kids ready for their adult lives. And our school systems, I've been a part of 3 now since I've moved, and our school systems are just behind. They're slow, they're behind. There's so much that they have to navigate that even when they get funding for computer science and coding and all of the things that our kids need, it takes years for them to implement it. And then by the time they implement it, then we all know what happens. I mean, tech is a new beast. As soon as you're ready to implement it, then everything has changed. So I'm not trying to be negative about our schools, and I certainly don't want this to feel negative to parents who are listening or whatever, but don't just put all your eggs in the basket of the school system, even though we're paying taxes. You got to find outside organizations that focus on this stuff and keep up with things so that our kids have the best. Our kids deserve the best, and unfortunately, our school systems don't always have they just don't. It's a tangled web, and they have to fight their way through the web, and that is to our kids' disadvantage. Even if it's in their, the teachers want to have that as their best interest, and I know the staff, they want our kids to be first, but it's just the web is too tangled. So that was my thought on it.
All right, that's a good thought. This is back to you, Jessica, and then I'm going to get to some of the other guests as well. Now, we talked about, you alluded to some of it, leadership, and I know that definitely when I think of leaders here in Durham, you definitely are one that I consider a leader. There's others that I consider leaders as well. But when you think of leadership, what do you think as the 4 qualities that make an effective leader?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me who I was voting for mayor. I was going to be like, Mark, we can't talk about that on the radio.
Okay.
Yeah. certainly effective leadership, the base foundation of effective leadership is trust. You have to be able to instill trust, and people have to trust you. If you don't have that, you are not a leader, period. A leadership does not exist without mutual trust. And I would argue, if anybody brought that up, I'd have to take them to the mat on that one. So trust is number one. Communication, we see it this weekend. The lack of communication will knock you down. It'll take you all the way out. So if you don't know how to effectively communicate, and I'm talking about generationally, you have to be able to talk to millennials, you have to be able to talk to our baby boomers, you have to be able to speak the language of veterans, of people of color. You got to know how to communicate effectively as a leader if you're going to lead effectively, period. And then I don't know if there are four, but I think this is the last final major pillar, and that's just core value. You have to understand what your core values are. And a lot of people think they know their core values, but they probably have never done an assessment, haven't taken quiet time by themselves to sit down and think about the things that are most important to them, and that if they were ever put to task, that they would never move off of those values. So, like, again, our president, it was hard and inconvenient, but we all saw where his core values did not lie. He does not have core values around this country, around ethics, around community building. Those are not his core values, and so it was easy for him to move off of them because he doesn't actually lead from them. So communication, trust, and understanding what your core values, you'll be in a really good position to be a strong leader. I also think, strong leaders teach leadership, so they're building other leaders along the way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I can see that, both of yourself as well as others as well. But just out of curiosity, and this is both for you and my co-host, or both my co-host and the engineer, what do you see as your core values? And I'm going to throw that question also at Dean and Ty, if they're still with us and want to ask their core values, so that people can get an idea of what core values are. Because not everybody, like you said, knows what core values are. So what do you see as your core values? And Dean, what do you see as yours? And Ty?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, I'm going to have to think about that. You put me on the spot right now.
I did put you on the spot.
Yes, you did. We're going to have to come back.
Jessica, what do you see as your core values?
So I just did a value set, so it isn't really fair to ask your co-host, because you do have to take the time. You can't just kind of pop off with them if you haven't had an opportunity to think through it. My core values lie around. I have to think about. I have like 5 of them. Innovation, compassion, being courageous, my community and faith, and those kind of go hand in hand, and loyalty. So if you put all of those together, that helps support the foundation of my family, being a single mom, raising my son, and help, driving him forward, making sure he's a person of integrity, and also just how I lead within the community.
Now, you said I wasn't being fair, so since I'm not being fair to them,
we should ask you, Mark, what are your core values, Mark?
Well, I was ready to come back to the question that you just asked, and then I will try to address the core values. But for those who have not thought about their core values, are there any online platforms that they can use to address their core values, to find their core values? Are there any online platforms that you're aware of that if people are still trying to think of them, like my co-hosts were doing, or just trying to think of them in general that they can use to develop?
Yeah, there is. I don't want to tell people and not be right. There are a lot. First of all, if you Google that, you're going to find a million.
That's what I was just about to address. Is you can simply type in core values in Google and go to images, and there's tons of imageries that have simple platforms for you to follow. I haven't spoke much in this show. It's interesting taking in everyone's viewpoints and points of view on everything that's happening in the world that we're living in today, to coding, to technology. I want to thank everybody for all the splendid information. I would have to say core values for myself would be integrity, accountability, and responsibility, as well as passion. Having a passion for the arts and things we do, the things that I do, having a passion to continue to succeed and push as a mother, as a wife. And believe it or not, like lately I've been reading, and I can't give all of the insight on the book, but I will have to say that I've been reading this book lately called In Search of Sisterhood, which is a book regarding the beautiful women of Delta Sigma Theta. And I will have to say that the book has so much in-depth information on the accounts that go with the sorority to the very beginning. But the one thing that I hold dear when I read it is its integrity and pride in our people back in the 1900s when it came to education, and how limited we were with the amount of individuals that were graduating with degrees that were African American. So we've come such a long way since then, since that era, that there's so much right now in this day and age that we do need to hold dear to our heart. I will also like to address that President Barack Obama, when he was president, also did encourage many to pursue their education in science and in technology. That's something that I don't see Trump ever addressing, but I will have to say that when Obamas were in office, that's something that they actually did encourage for individuals. He himself had responded to the Charlottesville incident, and he got over 1 million retweets and likes on something that was very simplistic, which was that we weren't taught to hate, but we can learn hate, which entail we can also learn to love. Very simple tweet, but something that should be transferred to many. His tweet did state, no one is born hating another person because of color of their skin or background of his religion. So I just find that interesting that there's so many people that are still very supportive of him and miss him and want him back. A lot of the things that we have been discussing today are very serious and severe, some things that we need to just take in account. And that a white supremacy, this is not new. You know, this platform isn't new. This agenda with white supremacy is not new. And there are avenues that us as a people need to do to unite, because this didn't happen to one of us, but it is affecting us as a human race. So that's some of my thoughts on today's topics. And I do want to thank the young lady that called in, Miss Beverly, along with her mate. I think she still may be on the line or may have hung up. But,
no, she stepped out.
Okay, yeah. She did just text me and said thank you, and definitely will be calling in some more. So we want to thank her and her husband for calling in. It's little steps like this that allow us to be the talk show we are. I also have been trying to make more effort by creating the buzz, putting it on Instagram and letting people know, get it off your chest. If you have anything, something that's pissing you off, something that's on your mind, anything in general, call us up, and we'd be more than happy to take a call. 646-668-8393 is the phone number, and we're here. Dean Geronimo is producer extraordinaire, always doing his best. Mark Lee is our co-host and the man of the hour that's always bringing something interesting, political, and great insight. So we are the voice of the people. I am your host, Todd Jones. Just want to thank everyone for being on the show today.
Definitely appreciate it, Ty. You're doing a great job of serving as our leader and keeping us all in line and everything of that nature. As far as core values, since Jessica threw it out at me, and I was thinking about it as we went along, definitely